What's up, guys? PJ here from 3D Printing Canada. Today in front of me I have something I'm really excited to bring to you guys. Personally love this company. They make products that work, plain and simple. Alex and all the guys at Micro Swiss keep doing the great work because personally I'm impressed. Now this is their brand new NG direct drive extruder. Now it has beveled gears in it. I'm really impressed when I look at the design, and now having let's just open it up and show you guys. Let's not talk about it too much because it's absolutely wonderful here. So let's get to what's inside the box. You get the extension cable, they always provide that, really nice. The price point on this, I'm sorry, you can't beat it. It's absolutely wonderful. You get the toolkit as always, they always provide you with the tools. All the hardware for mounting it to the X-gantry. They even provide zip ties, guys. I mean, this is quality CNC machining. I can't explain how, I know I sound like I'm overdoing it a little bit here, but I love these guys' products. Micro Swiss is where it's at when it comes to Creality printers and things like that, etc. So they even give you a hot block. So we'll see how this goes. I can only assume that they'll have this available, and so you don't have to buy the whole direct drive with everything it comes with. You might already have a Micro Swiss. I know they are going to be making different backing plates. So for me, for example, I have a linear rail kit at home, one in here in the shop as well. So we'll go ahead and slap those onto the linear rail. Hopefully they either have a plate or have made it adaptable. We'll soon see. They always give you the QR code so you can go ahead and check out how to install it on their website as well. And here you just kind of lift up this little packaging here and you have the full direct drive extruder already assembled, minus the the hot end, which you do have to heat tighten. Okay, so what a thing of beauty, guys. I mean, the beveled gears alone, and the fact that on this extruder, let's actually break it down for you guys and show you inside of it and show you the inner workings and stuff, because I'm really impressed with the innovation. These guys always come up with something awesome, always. Another nice thing, look at that, they give you the 3D print. So for your ender, it's already ready to go. Like, you literally, a couple bolts will bolt this on. But for the sake of the video, guys, let's tear it down and show you what's going on inside. All right, so let's go ahead and take this fan shroud off. 2mm either Allen key or hex wrench. And there's one more screw right here. So we'll go ahead and take that screw out. Now I'm just gonna leave the screws in there. So as you can see here, it's got the new bevel gear design. Very nice hardened steel. I mean, just look at the CNCing. I mean, absolutely wonderful. It's bling for your printer as well as functionality. Not only does it look good, I mean, it functions amazing and it looks good doing it. Super impressed. Now, the cool part about this is, again, the back plates. They are, sorry guys, I'll get that in focus for you. The back plates. So it's just 3 screws here that hold this whole assembly on. So I'll show you guys how that works here. So we'll go ahead, it's just 3 screws here. You see them? 1, 2, and 3. So we'll go ahead and we'll remove those screws just to show you guys. Now, this is where this piece right here is going to adapt to many different printers via a plate. Okay? Now, getting a closer look at this extruder, guys, I am like, I don't know. I'm everything Micro Swiss makes, it just works. You get your tensioner arm there, and it's a push, right? So you can put more tension. Again, you don't ever need to over tension anything because then you're just causing more strain on the gears. Now, there is one thing I would like to take off here, and that is to show you guys inside what we've got going on here. So inside here you can see no more Bowden tube, nothing. The gears meet with this little, there you go, you can see it right in there. They meet right against that, now I'm not sure, I'd have to ask the boys. It almost looks like a titanium insert. You won't quote me on that. Could still be just aluminum, but it is looking like a titanium insert to me. Now, when you're doing something like this, personally me, I want simplicity. I don't want to be fussing with my printer all the time. I don't want to be messing around, you know, and the hot end does have a problem, because they all do. I don't care what hot end you're working with, what drive you're working with, you're always going to have a problem. They're always going to run into them. So we'll go ahead and we'll get that arm back on. Now you will still be sliding a piece of Bowden tube into here. But it is only going to stop in this section here, and the rest of the path now is metal, so no more worrying. Like the last one, you would replace a piece of Bowden tube if it got wore out, where it met these two gears, right, that actually drive it. So now it's I want to say it's a titanium insert. I'll have to ask Alex, but that does not look like aluminum. It looks like titanium, and it would only make sense for cooling and everything. The way they've designed this, I can almost guarantee you that right there is a titanium insert. And again, so for carbons and stuff, you're not going to wear that out like you would like on other extruders on the market, where they're made out of like 3D printed SLS or anything like that. So for printing flexibles, what'll happen is on the SLS style printed 3D printer extruders, they wear away, where Micro Swiss on their last extruder used a Bowden tube, which was pretty cool because you could just replace it rather than replacing your extruder body or having to 3D print a new one. With this one here, and even their last one, just replace a Bowden tube. On this one, it looks like it's a titanium insert, so I can't see wearing that out anytime soon, that's for sure. That's enough of my jabbering on here, guys. Sorry, just when I have a product like this in my hands, I really want to take it and really get the chance to explain it to you guys, right? So now, whenever you're working with stuff that's been tapped, you always need to keep in mind, never over tighten anything. So I'm about to put 3 in and they're just snug down there. There's no torque on it at all. I'll just go ahead and get them started, and then I'll torque them down after. So that gives you guys an inside look at the extruder. I didn't want to go as far as I don't think we need to take the motor off. Obviously it's just 4 screws. And again, your pinion gear. So your pinion gear here with the beveled gear style, this is a really, really good way that they've designed this. The pinion gear, which I can't see needing to replace, looks like to me, yeah, they pressed this one on. There's no set screw, guys, so it is a pressed on gear. Again, it's hardened steel. It's not like you've got some cheap brass pressed on gear or something that is definitely going to wear out. And the fact that it's gear reducted like this, it's, I don't know, hardened steel, guys. It's going to be just fine. Yeah, one other cool thing they did, this really hit the nail on the head for me. So I've been upgrading Micro Swiss direct drives on all kinds of printers. If you can do it, I'll find a way with their extruder because it works so well. They put a spot for 2 belt loops. So if you've got a CR Tennis Pro V2, something where the old belt just isn't long enough, now you got to buy a new belt. Well, in this case, they gave you the option to bring it, and it's closer or wider. So it's already like that right from Micro Swiss. All right, we'll get this fan shroud back on. Again, I apologize. I know I've kind of drawn this one out a little longer than usual, but I'm super impressed with this product, and I wanted to take the time to show you guys inside, and it's going to be well worth the money. Again, and it's still more affordable than products on the market now where you still got to buy the motor, etc., etc. So it's priced perfect. All right, we'll get that fan shroud on, and because it is printed, and obviously you can tell they've been printing these with their printers, with their drives. Look at the quality, like, it's absolutely wonderful. All right, guys, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this, because it was actually designed to put onto the Ender 3, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna install this onto an Ender 3. Okay guys, so what we're gonna do here for this printer, we have an Ender 3 V2 in front of us. We're gonna go ahead, we're going to actually, there's one screw. You're gonna take your 2mm, oops, I got the wrong one there. So you're gonna take a 2mm driver, there's one screw, and if you're looking at the printer, it's gonna be on your left-hand side. If you're coming from the back of the printer, it's on your right-hand side. So there's just one screw that takes off this fan shroud. We're not gonna be using any of this, so I'm gonna disassemble it and leave it intact for the sake of the video. Just quickly here. The only thing we'll be using is our heater cartridge and thermistor, which I will be freeing up here in a second. You can, if you have another printer, save the Bowden tube or whatever. So we'll move this fan shroud out. We will be taking out the fan. So I'll unscrew the fan. There's just a screw here, the screw here. I forgot my Phillips, so hopefully, yep, the flat work just fine. They're self-tappers. We'll go ahead and we'll pop this one out. Okay, that's one fan out. And we'll go ahead and get our part cooling fan out. All right. Which is going to be, as you can see, it's just that one screw. Excuse me. Go ahead and take this one out. And then this piece should just pop out if I'm not mistaken. No, there's one more, that's right. There's one more right here. So 2 screws to get the part cooling fan out of the shroud, and then it pops out like so. Now I'll use this to hold all my screws in case I need any of them. This will be my first time installing this thing of beauty. So normally you'll take a Phillips to this, but I forgot mine downstairs at my desk. So I'm just gonna try and take it out this way. It is working. I would recommend you use the Phillips. I won't be reusing any of these parts, so I'm not really worried. We'll go ahead and pop that piece out, and then just one more screw here. So we'll be using some 2mm screws to secure this fan. So I guess maybe the one thing, you could just use 2 screws and just use these 2 screws that it leaves behind. Actually, I will try them just to see, for the sake of the video, to see if you actually need to buy something else, but I'm assuming you could just get away with the 2 screws, so we'll save those. We'll put these fans over to the side. We'll go ahead and we'll get that thermistor and heater cartridge out. Okay. So this one will take the 1.5 driver, loosen that off, and for the thermistor, like always, Phillips, and just take this one right out. Get the thermistor and heater cartridge out. I'm not even going to take the hot end off of there. If I can get my screwdrivers in, I will just simply, my 10mm, excuse me, my 8mm wrench here. Should have it somewhere. It's 8mm for the nuts on the back that hold the gantry on, or sorry, hold the access onto the, oops, those 3mm? There they are. Might actually have to take the hot end off, guys, so we do. Unfortunately. So So we'll go ahead and pop that hot end off real quick. It's just 2 screws. And then cut this zip tie away here. All right, that's our hot end out of the way now. We'll go ahead and take this gantry off. So 3 mil Allen wrench or hex driver. 8 mil for the nut. We'll go ahead and unscrew that. I don't even believe with this one you save the eccentric nut, they give you a new one. So I think the only thing we'll be keeping here is the wheels. Now this will go for any kit you do have. You'll be able to use the, so like the linear rail or whatever you are using, they give you pretty much everything. Now, even the eccentric nut for the wheel one, for the linear rail, obviously you wouldn't need it. So we'll go ahead and get this wheel off here. Last one. All right. Again, there's no need to throw away any of your hardware and stuff. It's worth keeping. Never know when you can use some of the nuts and bolts in the future, eccentric nut, things like that. So make sure we always put all those to the side. All right. Now, we'll go ahead and we'll just get rid of this extruder and motor altogether because we won't be using either of them. So 2 mil and 2.5, we'll remove all this. So we'll start with all the 2 mil screws here. Actually, we'll 2.5 here. Now we got to take this, the one that holds the spring in place. So it actually is in the way of getting out one of the other ones that hold the motor in place. So we'll go ahead and pop that out. I'll put it aside so I can put it back in. Now I like to pop the spring out. That way it's easier to take everything out. So we'll take the arm out now. Okay guys, so now that we've got all the old components off, I'm gonna go ahead and take this fan shroud back off again. Reason being is for mounting everything to the gantry, be much easier. I absolutely love that Micro Swiss is including this in the package. It's awesome. They give you your fan shroud. I'm sure people will be coming up with stuff. So this is pretty basic. Just grab yourself this hardware package here. Just like the old Micro Swiss. Eccentric nut will go in here. So right in there. And then the long one. And a wheel through. And then there's a little washer and a nut. So that's the eccentric nut part. Did I get the bevel in there right? Yep, okay. And I'll just, I'll get this one tightened down. There we go. So we'll go ahead, tighten her down. Get your 10 mil wrench handy because I can only assume that this isn't gonna fit the spacing right. So this is where it comes in handy again for the belt loops. Are you gonna use it longer or shorter? All right, so in this case, that one pops right on nice and easy. I'll take one wheel, then I'll take a screw and I'll pop it through, get it in place, just kind of get it started by hand at first. And then I'll take my 3 mil and go ahead and tighten that down. So now that we've got All 3 wheels installed, our eccentric nuts on, you can see wiggling around. No good, no bueno. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna tighten our belt first until we get that right tension. There we go. Now we're gonna take our 10 mil underneath, get it on that eccentric nut, and turn it until it's not too tight on there, but not wiggling loose. We don't want wiggling and we don't want too tight. So there we go, we're wiggling. Now as your wheels wear, you will have to tighten this over time. All right. Okay, everything's running smoothly. So we'll move on to the next step, which is going to be simply just heat tightening our nozzle. Okay, so what we're gonna do next here is we're gonna install our thermistor and heater cartridge. Very simple. You're gonna need a 1.5 in your Phillips head driver. Go ahead and slip those 2 in. I'll take my 1.5 driver and I'll tighten this down, not over squeezing that heater block too much. Just a little snug so it doesn't pop out. Then we'll take our Phillips here, which again, I forgot my Phillips downstairs, so I'll be using a flathead, unfortunately, which is gonna make it a pain in the butt. There we go. So, never over tighten down your thermistor because you will short it out. Just snug like so. So now what I'll do is I'll turn on the printer, heat it up, give it a little heat tighten, and that's it. So heat your printer up 260 degrees on the hot end. And I'll leave it hanging over here. And we'll heat it up to 260. And we're just gonna heat tighten it, and just like all the other micro Swisses, one set screw, I'll pop that right in there. Even when you're changing your nozzles, take fan shroud off, it's 2 screws. Undo this set screw, drop it out. Now you can get your adjustable wrench on the heater block without bending your heat brake. I call it a must. If you heed this advice, you won't bend your heat brake or get it stuck inside there, and could be an expensive mistake. So let's always change our nozzles, dropping them out of the heat sink. I would call this a heat sink combo extruder body. But yeah, you definitely want to change your nozzles like the same way we're about to heat tighten this. So this should always, these 3 components, you got your heat brake, your heater block, and your nozzle. My opinion is this is a must. 260 we're at now. So I go, if my printer firmware said 300, I would do it at 300. I'm gonna give just a little tighten. Don't slip on the wrench, that's all you need. You don't wanna burn yourself at 260. So I'm going to go ahead and cool that down now. But in the process of that, I will get my 1.5 driver. I'll back out the set screw a little bit just to make sure. See how far, okay, that's good. Then I'll take my 7 mil wrench, because this is still hot. You could wait till it cools down, it's probably safer. I'm gonna go ahead and slide that in there. Tighten down the set screw, and again, this is a set screw, guys. Once it's snug, there we go. That's it, that's all you need to do. Now, the Ender V2s come with, this goes on the hot end. I don't know why this ground or this neutral is in here. It's grounded to the frame inside as well. So they've added that to the new Enders for some reason. All right. So now what I'll do to continue to use that wire is I will take one of my leftover screws here. So I'm going to take one of the leftover screws, I'm going to take this top black one out. And I'm going to use this longer one. That way I can still use this ground line here. Okay, the 2 mil. And let's not forget our sock. We'll pop our sock on there. Careful if it's still hot, try not to burn yourself. It's not ever pleasant burning yourself on a 3D printer. We'll go ahead and get those wires in through there. And get that ground on the plate. And go ahead and tighten that down. Again, they're screwing into a 3D print. It doesn't need to be overly secure. I'll also use that as a good zip tie point. Now we'll go ahead and thread down the other side here. And then we'll start by installing our fans. Very simple. Again, now to avoid breaking the fan, I'll shut the machine off. Get the fan in there. Now, in Micro Swiss's bag, they do provide you with the screws, which is awesome for both fans. So they are providing you with all the hardware you need. Like I said, minus if you've got a V2, I needed one of the screws from the old stuff. So we will actually be putting all of that away. We will take these longer screws. Self-tappers, so I'll tap right into your 3D print. I wish I had my Phillips up here. Would have made life a lot easier. Be careful threading these in, don't over tighten them. It is plastic and these are self-tapping screws, so once that's it. Now we'll go ahead and install. Now, a lot of people make this mistake. There's an arrow pointing down that shows you where it's blowing to. Some people I've seen it, they brought their printer in the shop. They didn't know why it was melty looking and they had the arrow, so the fan was cooling nothing. So just keep that in mind. Oh wow, their prints are wonderful. They just pop right in. Such a good job. Absolutely wonderful. And then they provide you with the 4 screws for your part cooling fan. Pretty convenient. So now we've got everything installed. We're going to clean up some of this wiring a little bit with the provided zip ties. Let's plug in the motor, take it downstairs, set the E-steps, and away we're going to be printing. I'll actually show you guys how to set the E-steps in just a moment. So we'll just clean up this cable management a bit here. All right, I like to clean up by putting one right here. Let's keep all the wiring in the braiding. There we go, it's nice. Clip off the remaining zip tie. We'll go ahead and, this one I just like to leave loose. I mean, all you do is push on this lever, you don't pull like the last one. You can set your tension. So this one I just like to not over tighten it. Not over tighten it, still give it room to, wiggle room. All right, she's all installed. The bed just needs to be leveled. I'll explain to you guys how to do the E-steps. There are factory E-steps for this. You should always follow them. And let's get to that E-step section. Okay guys, so we're back. Now the last step before you start printing on the Micro Swiss NG direct drive extruder is you're gonna go in, turn your printer on. You have an Ender V2 or whatever printer you have, okay? Because this will adapt. If you have 3 wheels and an end stop off to the left-hand side where it can bump into it and hit that end stop, you can put this on, all right? So we'll go into control here. Then what we gotta do is we gotta go to motion, steps per millimeter, okay? Now, if you have a different firmware on there, it might be under motion and then what's called transmission ratio. So depending on the firmware you're running, it'll either be called steps per millimeter, we'll just go back and show you again, Or when you go under motion, it'll say transmission ratio. So we have the Gyrus firmware on this printer, so it says steps per millimeter. So we will go ahead and scroll down to E. You're going to want to change it from 93 to 400. Now, if you want to avoid all this, Micro Swiss has a QR code that they put inside your package. You can go ahead and scan that, go to their website. They have a G-code script you can run and it'll save your E steps. Or you can just do it the way I like to, either through Pronterface, depending on the printer, or say if you're running a Raspberry Pi, you already know how to do all this, and you'll just go into your command line and do your M92 space E400, enter, and then M500 to save. But in this case, we're just doing it right on the screen till we get to 400 here. Okay. 400. Now what we got to do is go back again, depending on the firmware, and store settings. You want to hear that beep. Now if you're doing it through any of the other ways, you're probably a little more of an advanced user and you already understand how to do G-code commands through a command line. All right, so now I'm going to take this downstairs, I'm going to run some test prints on it, and we'll be right back with you to show you and my final thoughts on this new extruder. All right, so we're back, guys. After doing just a quick little vase here, just as a first test print, I'm gonna actually throw some TPU into it next. I know it's gonna print it like a champ because the old extruder did. I can't see why their new innovation wouldn't. It prints absolutely wonderful. This is just stock settings. This isn't no tweaking. Anytime I get a new extruder or any new product, I always like to just throw what the slicer has to offer stock. The only thing I reduced down is I went down to 1 millimeter of retraction for the first test print. I would assume you would not want to go over 2 millimeters. Looking at the distance, it's similar to the old Micro Swiss, so I would assume you'd be able to go up to 2. I've been fine going up to 2, and believe it or not, on TPUs I've been able to go higher. But you do all this at your own caution because Micro Swiss does let you know that 1 millimeter of retraction should be enough. If you're getting stringing, you're probably over extruding. You would need to lower your flow rate or your extrusion multiplier depending on the slicer you're using. But as you can see here, it does a wonderful job. We printed this at 80 millimeters a second on a stock ender, so no tuned firmware, no clipper or anything like that. It did a wonderful job. And as you can see, compared to the old direct drive extruder, you actually still have all the height of the printer, which is really nice. One more final thought I have about the extruder. I honestly have nothing bad to say about it. Micro Swiss always innovates amazing products. Now, this can go on, as you can see here. See that end stop there? Just as long as your end stop can be hit with this extruder, you can definitely install this on multiple printers. They will be coming out with different backing plates, so this will be able to go on all kinds of things. It'd be really neat to see one on a Voron with the linear rail attachment. I personally have a Ender 3 at home with a linear rail kit on it, so it'd be really interesting when I actually get to put one of these on at home. But with that being said, guys, I really hope you liked this video as much as I did. I really enjoyed doing this installation, taking it apart, looking at how simple but yet how perfect this extruder is. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.